welcome, and let's get started. Today we're going to make this really beautiful ear band. As you can see, this stitch has a lot of stretch both ways, and it has a knit-like appearance. I will also show you how to make the puff flower at the end of the video. You can also see our edges, how nice of a finish it is on both sides. Perfect for wearing. You can use any yarn, but I will be using a number 4 medium weight acrylic yarn. Look at all the fun ways that you can make this ear band. So I will be using a 5mm crochet hook. You'll need some scissors, darning needle, and a measuring tape. Let's start with the slip knot. Our first row, we're going to do a foundation half double crochet. So let's start with the chain 2. We're going to start in that first chain, but we're going to find the little back loop. So if you turn it over, there's that little bump or back loop, and that's where we're going to work our first part of our stitch. So we're going to yarn over and insert into that back loop of the first chain. So right in there. Then we'll yarn over and pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook. And then we're going to yarn over and just pull through the very first loop only. This will create a chain stitch on the bottom. And then we're going to yarn over again and pull through all 3. The last part created your half double crochet. Let's do our next stitch. So yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook now into that chain space on the bottom. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and go through 1, creating a chain. Then yarn over and go through all 3. So we're really just making a chain on the bottom and then finishing our half double crochet. So let's start again. On the bottom, going in, we're going to do a chain stitch. So here is our chain stitch. And then we're going to pull up the yarn a little bit and go through all 3, doing our half double crochet. Again, going into the bottom 2, doing a chain and half double crochet. This is how it should look. So it's actually easier to work this vertical or even upside down to do this stitch. So let's do it upside down. So working into that chain, making a chain, and pulling, and then a half double crochet. So it's really easier working this upside down. And we'll do the chain and a half double crochet. Doing a chain and a half double crochet. Now you can see how it's taking shape, and look at how nice and stretchy it is and how nice of a finish it is on the bottom. Let's work a few more together. Continue until you have the correct size to fit around your head. It should probably measure somewhere between 17 and 21 inches, or 44 and 53 centimeters. Mine was about 60 stitches. We can now join to make a circle. We're going to take our hook and insert it from behind on that very first stitch that we made. And then we're going to grab our loop from where we ended and put it onto our hook. We're then going to pull it through to the back and pull snug. So just give it a nice snug pull, and then we will chain 1. This is how we will join all of our rows. From here, we're going to do half double crochet in the 3rd loop or the back loop of our stitch. So right in there. So this is the first 2, and then we're going to go into the back. It's called the 3rd loop, and insert the hook in there, pulling up our yarn and doing our half double crochet. So let's continue. So half double crochet in that back 3rd loop. You can now see how it brings those other stitches forward to make it look like a knit stitch. So continue with these back loop half double crochet all the way around. And once we get back to the beginning, I'll show you how to join. Don't worry about that beginning stitch right there. We will weave it in at the end. So we can now continue all the way around, and I will meet you at the end. I now have 1 stitch left, so right in there. So I'm going to do my last stitch. And it's really important to have the same amount of stitches in each row. So now we're going to join in the top of that first one. So not in the chain space, but in that first stitch. So here is my first stitch. So we're going to put your hook over the yarn and go from the back to the front. And then we're going to put the loop around the hook. And then pull the loop to the back. Pull snug. And now we're going to repeat round 2. So starting again with a chain 1. Make sure you're always starting in that very first stitch with your first half double crochet. So you can see when we join that this is our chain and then this is our first stitch. So when you come back around, that's how you know it's your first stitch. If you need to, you can put a marker in there. You will also notice now how these 2 rows have kind of come together. And this will be continuing as we go. Let's work around another row and I will show you how to do the joining one more time. So again, I just have 1 more stitch to go. I'm going to drop my hook, insert from the back, put my loop over the hook, pull it to the back, pull snug, and chain 1. And now you can just continue. Repeat this pattern until you have your desired width of your ear band. I have made my ear bands with about 10 to 12 rows. So on the pink one, I actually have 12 rows, and on this one, I have 11 rows. But you can see they almost turned out the same, if not the one a little wider, so it depends on what type of yarn you have. So as you can see here, they all measure slightly different heights and different lengths. Once you have the amount of rows that you like, just leave a small tail, cut your yarn, and pull through. You will notice that the closing seam actually goes at a bit of an angle. That's okay, that's exactly how it should look. But when we make our pinch, we're going to make it straight. So let's start by weaving in our beginning yarn. So with our darning needle, we can take our end and weave it in. So with the needle, let's insert into one of the stitches here. And then we're just going to bring it back down into one of our last stitches. So just in there, bringing it to the back and to the inside. Just in there. If you pull snug, it creates almost like an invisible stitch. And then we can just weave our end in up and down. Make sure you always weave opposite of the stretch. So now with our other end, we will create our little pinch. So we're going to take our needle and we're just going to go straight. So straight up underneath the stitches there. So once you have your yarn straight, then you can pull to make the pinch. So just give it a pull, and you can pinch it however tight you would like. Once you have your desired look, we can just weave in the back end to tighten it. So that looks pretty good there. So we're just going to hold on to that, and then we're going to weave up and down into the back opposite of the stretch to tie off. We're now ready to add our flower. You can make your flower with two colors like this, or just using one solid color like this. I will show you how to do it using 2 different colors. So let's start with the slip knot. We will then chain 4. We're going to make a circle, so we're going to slip stitch into that very first chain to make a circle. So just slip stitch through both, and now we have our little circle. We will then chain 1 and now do 12 single crochet into the circle. So going right into the middle, we're going to pull up and do single crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you think it's not going to fit, just pull around and it'll all fit. So we're going to do 4 more in there. So this is number 9, 10, 11, and 1 more, 12. We will then slip stitch to join in the top of that first single crochet. So in the first one, going under both, we'll do a slip stitch. If you're going to make your flower one single color, from here we're going to start then with a chain 3. So chain 3, and then continue. But right now I'm going to show you how to add on a different color. So from here we're going to pick up our new color. So we're just going to pull it through and then pull snug. So just give it a tug there, and then we will chain 3. Get it in there properly. So 1, 2, 3. We can now start our puff stitch. So we're going to start by yarning over and going into that very first stitch, pulling up a loop and pulling it up nice and tall. Then we're going to yarn over, go back into that same stitch, and again pulling it up tall. Now we're going to go into the next stitch doing the same thing 3 times. So pull up 1 time and pull up 2 times and pull up a 3rd time. We're now going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on our hook and making sure we go through that last of the top of the chain 3. We're now going to do a chain to close and another one. So 2 chains. So working down into the next stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch to finish the first puff. And let's start again. Chain 3. Insert into that same stitch, pulling up 2 times. 1, yarn over, pull up a 2nd time, going into the next stitch and going 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, pull through all the loops and the chain. Chain 2 to close. 1, 2, and a slip stitch down into the next single crochet space. And we have 2 puff stitches. We're going to do 6 in total. You can see how nice the edging is here. This is actually the back side. This will be our front side that we'll look at. I will work all the puff stitches together with you. Let's start again. Chain 3. Pull up 1, pull up 2, next stitch, pull up 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all, close the stitch with a chain 2. Insert into the next stitch with a slip stitch. We're now on our last petal. You should have the 1 stitch remaining, right there. So on the last petal, we'll do the chain 3, going into that first, pull up 1, pull up 2, going into that next stitch, 1, 2, and 3, yarn over, pull through all, and the top chain. Right in there. Oops. Let me try to get that back on the hook. There we go. And then chain 2. And now to finish, we're going to go back down into that very first stitch that we started. So where the first chain 3 came out of. Right in there, let's do our slip stitch. We can now cut our yarn. Make sure you leave enough of a length so we can stitch it around the flower to the ear band. Continue watching to the end of this video on how to attach your flower to your ear band. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and stay tuned for a lot more fun videos to come. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.